how to use Outreach Circle, we're going to go a little bit more now into Slack. Slack is a completely different platform than Outreach Circle, and it is a messaging platform that actually the CCAN team has started to use over the past few months. And we are kind of viewing it as like a virtual office for us, especially when we're able to combine it with Zoom. And I hope that this training tonight, you all be able to, after you see it, be able to like walk away having an idea of what Slack is and how we can use it to build our CCAN volunteer community and also strengthen your communication and collaboration that you have amongst yourselves on what is going on in the CCAN realm. All right, so Slack is a messaging platform that is often used in place of like emails and text messaging. And it is a platform that allows you to be able to have like conversational flow with one another without having to be face-to-face. So it's really great for us to be able to have this option right now. And they often like to refer to it as Slack is like where your work flows from. It's where you can have all the people you want to communicate with and all the information that you need to share in one place. And this includes like the tools you use. You can do polls, you can share documents you're working on, you can share links. It's really great for that. And one of the really cool things about Slack is you're able to create themed conversations in what are referred to as channels. And channels can be used for different teams and different projects that you're working on. And so that makes sure it keeps your work organized amongst these channels. And so that is what Slack is. Let's go to the next slide. There we go. All right, so how can we use this as a community building tool? So this is going to create a workspace for all of you to be able to come together and find relevant and timely information. You're going to be able to share news and announcements with one another. And as I mentioned earlier, you can develop channels dedicated to task groups by theme and region. So for example, if you decide you want to create a LTE writing team, you can have a channel just dedicated to LTE letter to the editor responses. You can also have statewide actions, and or if you want to, get more specific and have, for example, a coalition of you who want to work just like on the Eastern Shore pipeline, you can create a channel for that as well. So another way to look at this is that Slack is a way where like one person or a group will identify a need. So this can come from the CCAN Central team or a regional group of people, or just a single person, one of you who attended a listening session or a meeting, and you want to make everybody else aware of what you learned. So you can then communicate this through Slack to your group. And so you communicate it through the proper channel. And then by doing this, you're making everybody aware and everybody is getting the same information at the same time. And you're able to then discuss and decide like what is going to be your best path forward and actions that you can take together. And then throughout the process, you're able to keep each other updated and like make sure that you're reaching your goals. So the current channels on the CCAN Maryland Volunteer Slack, we have an announcements channel. And I am going to be showing all of this to you in my web browser after we go over this. So you'll have a chance to see what I am talking about. But we have announcements. So this is for a way to communicate related news and information, what's going on with CCAN. We also have climate news, which is just where you can share any global or local news on the climate. And then we have a fun channel. So this is where you can just share fun things that aren't necessarily related to any like of the themes you're working on, and it doesn't fit into any of the other channels, but you can share it there. And then we have an introductions channel. So if you're going to join tonight, for example, you can go into the introductions channel, introduce yourself, and just like start up conversation with people there. And that's where you can get to know the new people who are joining. And then we have a statewide actions channel, which is where you can see posts on actions that can be taken by anyone, anywhere in the state. And then also there's currently a tech and comm support channel. So if you need any help on Outreach Circle or Slack or anything else like that, you have technical issues, you can send it to this channel here. And then as you're becoming more comfortable with Slack and you are wanting to create a channel for your area or your group, or you have a suggestion for a statewide group, you can just let Emily know. You can always send her an email, which is the traditional way, or you can also just send her a message on Slack and ask her, give her your idea of what a good channel would be. All right, so now I'm gonna go into a little bit of a demo on how we use Slack. I'm gonna get out of presentation. Okay. All right. So hopefully you all can now see my Slack and my web browser. So Slack is something that it also can be used in your web browser, just like Outreach Circle, and there are apps for it as well that you can download on your desktop or to your phone. But you can see here, this is just the main background you'll see. And as we get started, when you first sign up, you're going to see over here on the left area a Get Started section. I've already started this, so I'm a little bit further along, but you'll see here a little welcome message from Emily, and then it will prompt you to send a message. It has here how you can add your own profile photo. So you can change your profile image so people can see you. And then if you want, you can connect it to Google Drive if you use Google and you have documents that you share there.
Hey, Courtney, I'm so sorry to interrupt
you. Yes.
Would you be able to zoom in just a little bit? We got somebody in the chat saying the text is a little small on their end.
Okay, is that better?
Looks good for me.
Okay, okay. All right, so now I'm zoomed in. So if you would like to, one thing we're gonna go over is you can update your status and set notifications. So one way to do that is you come over here to this upper left-hand corner, and under CCAN Maryland Volunteers in your name, you'll see a little down arrow. This is where you can set a status, just letting people know what you're currently up to. So I can say I'm in a Slack training. And then I can set when I want it to clear. So that just lets people know if you're available or not, or if you're in a meeting. Here, under the same arrow, you can also pause notifications. For example, if you do not want to be disturbed by notifications coming from Slack, you can set for a certain number of hours, or you can even set a do not disturb schedule, which you can set the time. So like if you would not like to receive notifications after 7 p.m., or you only want to receive notifications during that period, you can set that here. Also within preferences, you can update your theme, which is one of my favorite things to do because I like to have a dark mode instead of a light mode, which I'm not sure if that's easier or harder for you to read it right now. But also I'll go back to the light mode, and you can also change it for colors as well. So if you don't like brown, you can have blue. So those are just some of the fun things. And now we're going to get a little bit more so into your channels and how to actually communicate in Slack. So if you can see on the left-hand side, here are all the channels that I was discussing earlier. They're all on this left-hand side, and they have a little hashtag mark in front of them. So if I want to go to introductions, because I am new to this channel, and we'll do this as an example, it's prompting me to join the channel. I will join the channel. And this is where I can now see everything else people have put in here so far, and I can introduce myself. So this is a function similar to just like any messaging that you do. You can just type in your message here in this box. My name's Courtney. Okay, and that. And so if I want to, you can have some formatting down here. You can bold text, italicize it. You can even do a strike through, which is pretty cool. And a fun aspect as well is you can insert emojis if you want to add like any emoji that will really get your point across. Like I chose space, so I'm going to put an alien. And then also something to be aware of is if there's somebody like I want to get Emily's attention in particular, like I want to make sure Emily sees this message, I can do a mention, which you can do it down here in the bottom right-hand corner. You can see mention someone, and you can just select them right there. That's one way to do it. The second way to do it is actually to put in the @ symbol yourself, and the people will pop up as well. So now, because I mentioned Emily, she will definitely get a notification for this. And so I just hit enter, and my message was now sent into this channel. And I'm going to, so Slackbot is the Slack friend that they send to you, and it's just supposed to help us along. And I'm going to say, got it. Just gives little hints and tips. And so now that you can see that I've sent this message, so somebody reacted to it. Reactions are a great way to let people know you've seen their message. So Emily reacted to it. There's Donna. And so Donna, I think you're going to mention Anthony. And so you want to make sure you have the @ symbol in front of the person's name for them to get that. Yeah. So you can add a reaction to a post by, you can see down here underneath, there's this little smiley symbol, and you can choose a reaction. A really handy one is the thumbs up. Another good one to use is there's a clapping one in here somewhere. You can type for it also. Clap right here. Or if you just want to let somebody know you've seen something, you can send them the eyes. Like I've seen it. I got you. So reactions are just a really great way that you're able to let people know you're on the same page. So we've gone over those things. Something else that is good about Slack is, since you are able to share links, if you have so if I wanted to share the link to this presentation, I can just copy and paste the link and then populate it right here, and I can send this. And this is asking me if I want to connect my Google Drive. I don't have it connected right now, but if I had connected it, it would have popped up, and it would have looked like a Google Drive presentation. And so this is good if you want to send into the announcements and the news. You can send links to stories there, and it will auto-populate for you. You can also share attachments. So if you're working on a team document together, down here in the bottom right corner, you can attach a file and then send it to everybody. That's also good to know. And while we're in the messaging, I just want to let you know that I'm going to go back to mine. If you wrote something, and this is something I wish we had on emails, if you wrote something and you realize that you misspelled something or you just wrote something incorrect, you can delete the message. So if you hover over it, this little toolbar will pop up in the right. And this is where you can delete a message or edit the message. So if I want to edit it, it just pops open and you can add more to it. And then say I want to add Anthony. And then I can hit save changes. And it will say that I've edited it. Okay, so this is a lot of information, I know, but it's really great. Once you start using it, I think you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. And it really is a good tool to have. So as you're also working together, if, for example, in statewide actions, let's see if anything's in this yet. No. Okay, so we're going to go back to introductions because that's where I know we definitely have something to work with. So if I, for example, if I want to save something, like Emily sends something to the channel and you're like, oh, I definitely want to look at this when I have time, or I want to come back to this. If you hover over it, you'll see right here that you can save it. So if you click save and you go on the left-hand side, all the way on the left-hand side, you'll see saved items. And now it's appearing under my saved items. Yeah, if here, I might be able to paste in the invite. I'm not sure. Yeah. So I think Emily, I think you have the invite to the Slack in your CCAN Slack. And she can paste it into the chat box. But if we go back now to our introductions and right back up to here. I know something else that is good to know is oftentimes in channels, if you're having a lot of communication within the channel and you want to make sure, like different types of communication, and you want to make sure that, you know, you're keeping a clear line with what your question was, you can respond to it and start by starting a thread. And so what this does is it definitely sends a notification to the person who originally sent the original post, but you can also send it to everybody as well, just so they see that you started a thread and you can hit send. And so now you can see underneath there's one reply here, and you can continue communicating in this thread instead of like your communication happening further down here. Okay, gone through a lot of this. So there are two more things I'd like to cover with you. So we went over saving, which I did this to save it. Saving's what you do for your personal self, but if there's something you want to save to the channel, you can pin it to the channel. And now it will show up in your pinned items within this channel detail here. I'm going to unpin it now. Remove pinned item. Okay. And the final function of Slack that is probably one of the best functions, which is underutilized before we go into direct messages, is searching. There's a search bar at the top of your Slack. And like what's really great about this search bar is like in emails, like you can't really search back and forth on emails, but you can search all of your Slack for one specific thing. So if you wanted to search for Eastern Shore Pipeline and you put that in the search bar here, it's going to pull up for you all the different times that Eastern Shore Pipeline came up on any of these Slack channels. And so then you're going to be able to go to that conversation and like find that information again, which is really handy. Okay, so those are the channels. And then we also have direct messages. direct messages is one-on-one conversation you can have with any of these people on the left-hand side. And it really, the function is the same as in the channels, except it's just with one person. And so you can either select somebody from the left-hand side, or if you're not seeing that person that you want to communicate with, you can start a new one by hitting this plus sign and then searching for whoever it is that you'd like to communicate with. And I can hit go, and it will pull up a thread with Anthony. And now I will have a direct message going with Anthony. A benefit of direct messages also that you don't have with channels is that you can actually, I could call Anthony right now if I wanted to using Slack. So you can do a video call or just a voice call. But if you're trying to communicate something and it's not coming across in your messaging, you can actually just go ahead and call them. Hi, Anthony. Okay. And then something else is the final aspect of Slack is the apps. So there are currently 3 apps linked to our Slack together, and we have a Doodlebot and a simple poll. So this is just like if you want to send like a question to everybody. So if I wanted to go into an announcement and I went down here to this shortcuts button, which is the lightning bolt, I can start a poll where you can ask a question, or you can also create, which is simple poll. And then Doodlebot is what you can use if you're trying to like come up with a time to meet with everybody and set a meeting time, so that you can create a poll. And that when you create these polls, it will then go to everybody in that Slack channel and they can respond to it, and you can get a quick answer to a question. All right. And now I'm going to open back up the presentation again for you. And right here, so if you are deciding that you do want to join us on our Slack and be able to communicate with us, I know we all have it on our phones and on our desktop, and we get notifications. You can go to this link here. It is case sensitive, so it's all lowercase. And what you do is you can just go to that link, and it's a sign up link, and you enter your email and your name, and it should open up the web browser for you like I just had. And then if it's good probably to favorite it, but this is the web browser address right here, ccanmdvols.slack.com. And then if you do decide you want to download it onto your desktop, which is good because if you have it on your desktop, it will always be open, pretty much. It will always be running on your desktop, whereas if you have it just in your web browser, it's only going to run when you have your browser open. So you may, like, if you only open your browser twice a day, that's all you're going to see, then, like, that's the only time you're going to be able to communicate or see notifications. And then also there is a phone app as well that you can download. And our workspace name, because it often asks you when you go to log in what the workspace is. It's CCAN And that is everything I have.